In this week's episode of the Too Fast, Too Fast podcast, we discuss Navy leadership and quality of life, and we play some mid-watch games. Trigger warning, in this episode we have serious discussions regarding suicide and mental health.
Dive! Dive! Code red and 4 compartment middle level.
Torpedoes in the water!
No, I never have thought I was smart. I thought the people I dealt with were dumb, including you.
We're back. Episode 2 of the Too Fast, Too Fast podcast, 222. We have a new member joining us this week. Jimmy, you want to give us a short introduction before we get started?
Prior service nuclear mechanic. Going to commission as a SWO. Still staying in the Navy. Probably going to retire from it. So.
All right. Jimmy served on board the same boat as myself, Joe, and Mike. Amber, let's get us started. What are we talking about this week?
So I know that this is something that we've talked about before, but I thought we should do it on the podcast, is whether or not you guys would be okay with your children joining the military. Any branch. Kenny, you can go first.
Yeah, this is a tough question that I hope I don't have to face. I don't think I would not let them in a double negative. I think that I would let my children join the military. I would try to push them specifically to or from certain aspects of it. I think that it would probably be much harder as a parent having a child in the military than it was to be a child in the military. But I think that a lot of, maybe all of my most fun memories happened while I was in the military. It wasn't always Navy Central or Submarine Central, but the things I got to experience and the people I got to experience it with really only happens in that type of environment. And I wouldn't want to not let my kids have that just because I had an overall negative experience with my time in the military.
Yeah, that makes sense. If my kids are going in, I'm going to make them go in the Space Force because you can't get hurt in the Space Force, right? Fall out of your chair maybe, but...
Yeah, no, I've always had the thought that just based on me going through what I did enlisted and being jaded the way that I was in the same line that Kenny and I'm sure everybody else has felt at some point or another. I'm fine with them doing whatever they want to do. I'll back them 110%, but they're not going enlisted. They're going to be an officer. I don't really, whatever branch they want to do, that's their own journey. They can decide on their own, but yeah, they're not going enlisted. That's my only stipulation.
I do think that the one advantage that our children would have joining the military is that they have a parent that was also in the military, which I know some of us has family members that were military, but especially if it's something specific like being a nuke or being on a submarine, there's experiences that you can't prepare for the things that you're going to experience unless you hear it from someone that lived it. I wish I would have had that. I wish I could have had someone that was like, here's what quals are like, here's what life is like, and how to get ahead before you even show up. I think that's a big advantage. But again, I hope I don't have to give them that advantage.
Yeah.
How about Joe or Jimmy? You guys have anything?
I'll say, because I know when we last spoke about it, I kind of thought about it again on my own, and I kind of changed my opinion. Because last time, or I think the last time we talked about it, I said definitively, like, I don't want them joining the Navy at all. I would want them to join, like, Space Force or Air Force. And I kind of looked at myself and, like, that's a bit hypocritical because I definitely joined the Navy and the nuke became a nuke particularly because I knew, well, one of the multitude reasons was there was going to be a big signing bonus and a big re-enlistment bonus. And my whole mentality going through it was like, you know, suffer through X amount of years to get through the Navy, and get a decent chunk of money and buy a house with it. And that's ultimately what I did. So if they wanted to like follow in my steps or something like that, I'll pick a shitty job that will better prepare me in the future. It would probably be hard as a parent to deal with that, but I think I could accept it because, again, that was kind of the same thought process I had. I still say I would not let them be a Marine though, because I'm not letting my kid is not scoring a fucking 20 on the ASVAB. They're scoring like a 95 or above, and that's it.
That is something that I think we can easily lose sight of, is the financial advantage we gain over most of our peers.
Especially at that age.
Yeah, even at this age though, like if the people that we graduated high school with went to college, they would be lucky to be out of student debt at this point, and we largely have none.
Yeah. Just real quick, before any of y'all went to boot camp, did any of y'all ever have to make like my recruiter made me make this like self postcard. It was supposed to be like a piece of like self motivation or something that I would get sometime during boot camp. Like they would send it as a letter to me.
That sounds familiar, but I don't remember the specifics.
I never got that, but that sounds like a cool concept.
Did you
that
get
sounds
yours?
like a great concept.
Yeah, because I mean that's what I did. Was my postcard was the address, or sorry, it wasn't the address. It was like code for the address of this like super cool house I wanted to buy in Fairfax, and it was like
so cute.
It wouldn't make sense to anybody else if they looked
Right.
at it, because again, it was like hieroglyphics and shit. But to me, I would remember like, hey, this whole journey is to like, again, get ready for the future and hopefully like buy a house.
Bro,
Obviously,
imagine
I don't
Joe's
live in
recruiter
Fairfax, but
looking at this card, thinking, "What is this kid writing to himself?"
Yeah, I was about to say that's the same thing. That's the same thing I used to feel when I was turning over with this motherfucker.
Well, I will say, because one of the words in it, I drew the Chargers logo, and my recruiter, he asked me who's my favorite player on the Chargers. I'm like, what are you talking? I'm like, I don't like the Chargers. She's like, okay,
No,
so
that's a top secret
it's
code for San Diego.
Yeah. He's like, so if I get you a jersey, will you accept it? I'm like, you're fucking crazy. Like, why would you buy me a jersey? Like, I don't even know who. You don't even know who.
Because you're a nuke, dude. You're filling
Because you just met his quota for the month.
his quota.
Yeah, exactly.
That dude's getting a NAM because of you.
Basically, you will get an AM for a nuke. That does happen.
Really?
That's crazy.
Yes.
I got that dude the
Absolutely.
easiest
If you
name
get-
of his life.
Does a
if you put
recruiter get a
three nukes in a month, you'll get a com.
No way.
Seen
What?
that shit happen, homie. Seen
All
it
right,
happen,
Jimmy,
dog.
question for you as a recruiter. Do
Yeah.
you get a NAM or anything for recruiting nukes and telling them they're going into nuclear weapons?
No, absolutely.
Why?
Did you get anything for that? Because, no, I was going to say, I didn't get any of that. Like, oh, cool stuff to look forward to, like, remind you of why. Like, no, my recruiter's just trying to get me out the fucking door as quick as possible.
Yeah.
So, yeah, no, I didn't have that experience. But that does sound like a great thing, and I hope that's happening for some kids.
Yeah. As far as me and kids in the military, I would be 100% down for my kid joining the military. I wouldn't like push it or promote it or anything like that. But if they told me they wanted to do it, I would be 110% supportive. And that comes with a lot of things that I would be supportive of my kids in, other than like killing people. So yeah, I'm just keeping it a buck. Like I'm down for my kid doing pretty much. What's the square? Oh, I was like, what's the square about?
This is my no square.
Oh wait, yeah. This
Man, I
thing,
thought we were a
this
family
episode,
friendly
this
show.
episode here.
Oh, it's not.
Yeah.
No, I
This
specifically
one right
don't like
here
this
is not getting
age
monetized.
restricted yet.
homie.
Yeah.
This video will never pop up on anybody's algorithm. It just won't.
This
Good.
one will not make it.
And I'll probably have to figure out how to bleep out some things.
But no, I'll be down for my kid joining the military. Like Mike, I definitely would prefer them to be an officer. But I don't think I would be upset if my kid was like an enlisted nuke or something like that, or even a cook. But like I want them to be like our one of the other cooks that we had. You know what I mean? Like I want them to be like that. Like you got a plan, you know how you getting through, and then once you get the job done, you switch over, do your thing and whatnot. I want something like that. I'd rather you just have a plan in general. But the financial advantages of being in the military, I think, is a huge thing of it. So
Is it being in the military or is it being a nuke in the military?
it's being in the military, boss. Like even as a submariner, seeing like some of the guys like over time, just seeing them be, you know, kind of well off and doing their thing and doing whatever the hell they want. Like the bottom barrel submariner is smart enough to figure it out. Like at the end of the day, like
Well, they're equipped with the tools, right? You
yeah,
got to
they
think about it that
yeah,
way.
they have it.
You
Yeah,
get
they have the
developed
stuff.
into a performable, trainable tool, essentially, once you
Yeah,
become a civilian. But I get what um, Dakota's saying, where obviously there is a financial uh, gain for us as nukes, just simply
yeah,
because of bonuses, um, the quick return to rate based on time in,
hmm
um, that kind of stuff all obviously makes more money down the line for you. But I think in whole, just joining the military in general gives you a lot more opportunities than just a kid getting out of college,
yeah. As long as my
even
kid
if you
ain't
just
a
do a single
bullet,
tour.
as long as my kid not a bullet sponge, bro, we'll be all right.
Because I had
Yeah.
sailors working for me on the ship who were E5 with 2 kids and a stay-at-home wife, and they were struggling. Like they were
Yeah,
Yeah.
that sounds like they got with a dependent and that was the end of the road. Like you, like
Well,
at the end of the day, right? Like you can tell your wife you're struggling, right? And if she refuses to do anything about it, as far as like helping you out in any capacity, right? Whether that be, you know, cutting down on, you know, certain just extra things and whatnot, or you know, picking up a little job or whatever. Like
Yeah, but
there's what?
they got like little kids out
Oh
here in
yeah,
San Diego.
that's
You
true.
guys know how expensive it is out here.
Yeah,
yeah, I was going to say one of the worst parts of being in the military is the fact that yeah, we have a stable job. Yeah, we have BAH to support us wherever we are. That's supposedly calculated to a rate that's livable in some areas, but
yeah.
those rates are not going with the economy. At
No.
least it hasn't been anytime recently.
Yeah,
So
I always had a big problem with this on board, but it's like, okay, I know that I have access to the galley, but my wife and my potential children are not coming down here to eat the dinner that you made for me when I was on duty. Why
Yeah,
am I not getting money? Why am I not getting BAS for my family? And I don't care if people with no family get it. Also, great, give it to everybody. But it's
yeah.
absurd that like you as a sailor or a enlisted member, you have access to food, so you don't get this sustenance allowance. Well, okay, what about the rest of my family?
Yeah.
yeah,
And it's
I
not
think
a
that's what
lot.
makes
What was
it
it?
so hard for like when you guys are in to want to have kids.
Yeah,
Because like Kenny for a long time was like, we're not having kids until I'm out of the Navy.
But also just being away, like that's the
Yeah, I
most
mean that's the
difficult part.
that was the big part, but then all the financial stuff too.
As far
yeah.
as
yeah.
my
It
kids
doesn't
joining
make it.
the military,
Go ahead.
I think it's like for me, I don't wish for them to not have to experience any of the shittiness of like how hard the job is or how much stupid shit there is to put up with. I actually think that that would be good for them, and I wouldn't mind them getting that. It's
Yeah.
the danger of it all.
Right.
I don't want to see my kids like in danger. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I couldn't even imagine losing your kid. But I think being in the military and dealing with all this stupid shit in my time as a civilian since then, everything's been super fucking easy. Like
Yeah, there's something to that.
nothing is really as stressful as it was on the boat. Nothing is really as hard as going through what we went through. So, and I know also like if I ever have a job again where my boss is an idiot, like I've been through all that before. So, uh, there's so many cool I mean, yeah, you get a little bit jaded, but I feel like carrying that chip on your shoulder makes the rest of your life probably that much easier.
Yeah, that's true. And I also think that it's pretty cool to be able to say, like, yeah, I was on submarines. Like, a lot of people think that that's cool. And I know that it's kind of lame when you're there, but it's cool to be able to say that you have the experiences. I was just reading through stories. This guy was in some comment thread talking about these stories that he had from Afghanistan. And to him, it was like, here's all this dumb stuff that happened to us. But it's fascinating stuff to everyone else. And that's how.
Yeah, you really get to do the coolest shit in the world. Like,
right.
But when you doing that shit is boo boo.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well,
I can't believe
the
I
other
have
shitty
to.
thing is they won't, if you're not on the need to know basis, they won't tell you shit. You gotta like find out through the grapevine.
Well, that's true. The best times I ever had on the boat is when they were transparent about what was going on outside of the submarine.
When the first CO we had, or the first CO I had, when he came down to us and he told us like, "Hey, this is what we're doing. The president's being briefed on this, that, and the other." Like it made it all make sense. It made all the training, everything make sense for why we are doing what we're doing. And why we're going to ultra quiet, why we got to go stay in the rack, why we can't move around, why we can't. It just made sense, and it made.
Yeah, but it also
gave
adds
you
a
sense of
little
purpose.
something. Like, yeah, exactly. It makes, I have to do another steam generator sample, but like now it means something instead of just
That steam generator sample don't ever mean shit, though.
Well, not on our boat. Not on our boat, it doesn't. None of the samples mean anything.
Yeah, I don't remember if I talked about this before, but when I was on deployment, dude, we went ultra quiet, I think twice the whole time. And the first time we did it, I was on watch. And then when we got off watch, during our post-watch debrief, we were like, hey, what happened? Like, clearly something happened. That's why we went ultra quiet.
Right.
And Nicole basically told us, shut the fuck up and don't ask questions.
Yeah, that's kind of lame.
They didn't literally say that, but they're like, if you needed to know, you would have already known. So don't ask. We're like, oh, okay, cool. Like,
so
and then that jades the engine room.
Yeah.
Let's just briefly explain. Normal operating conditions on board, you are supposed to be like sound cautious, but it's not the end of the world if you're not. Like, there's sound transients all the time. Ultra quiet is like, do not make any sound transients into the ocean because we will be found or detected or whatever. So ultra quiet is like, no shit, don't make any sound.
Yeah. It's normally for when you're following boats.
Right.
Because the boat can hear you.
Yeah, you can make an educated guess, but through the difference between that and like,
somebody telling you
XYZ is going on, so we're gonna do ABC, blah blah blah.
Exactly.
Right? Like, again, it gives you that
being in the loop
is a
big deal. Yeah, being in the loop is a big deal because it gives you that sense of purpose. It makes what you're doing. It gives you a sense of purpose, obviously, but then like you're more heightened sense when you come into doing something right. Like, I gotta be sharp. I gotta be doing this on the right level.
I mean, it's just like sports. It separates the practice. It's game day now.
It's game day. Yeah.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Except we play like Ender's Game where you don't know it's.
I done spilled my coffee on myself, homie. Stop.
Surprise! The war is over.
Right? Yeah. It was game day. You did fine. Yeah. All right, we kind of strayed off topic. Amber, bring us back. Is there anything else?
Spoiler alert! If you've never read Ender's Game.
I was just gonna say I only had one other question. It kind of ties into what we talked about last time. But is there like in a sentence, what advice would you give somebody new joining the military?
Like, they haven't even gone to boot camp yet?
Yeah.
I mean, it was told to me. It was probably told to everybody. But I would say, if no one knows your name, you're doing well.
Yeah.
You don't want to be the best. You don't want to be the worst.
Well, that's like boot camp.
That's boot camp. Like, but that's what he's giving advice for.
Yeah.
At boot camp. Yeah.
And it's not boot camp because I taught at Groton. It's the pipeline, the whole thing.
Yeah.
Before you get to the boat, you need to make sure your head is down and no one really knows who you are. Good or bad.
Yeah, that's right.
All right, Joe.
I guess just put the effort in. Now, I guess you'll get out of it what you put in. So if you, try to learn and like grow as like a person and as like a professional, it'll be worth it in the end. That was something that was very hard for me to like internalize, but I think once I got off sea duty and I got to shore duty and I was able to like really look back on myself and kind of reflect on myself, I think I did a lot of personal growth. Like I had all of this information in front of me, but I was finally able to like process it and understand, you know, all the words of wisdom that were told to me and whatnot. And in the moment, things seem like stupid and just suck, but again, just you have to have the attitude of I want to grow.
Yeah. Dakota?
Oh yeah, I would say choose your rate, choose your fate, because it's kind of like a cliche thing and everybody hears it, but what you probably don't realize at the time when you're first hearing it is you better like the job you pick because you're going to be doing it sometimes 20 hours a day, every day, without a day off for a long time. So whatever you pick, you gotta make it something you can see yourself doing, and that be like the only thing you do.
Yeah, I think we didn't talk about this last time, but I think that's a weakness in the recruiting segment of the military is like, hey, here's the rates you qualified for. Your recruiter might be knowledgeable on 10% of them if they worked with them. But like, I mean, my recruiters were CBs and they knew when they saw my score, there's no way I was going to be a CB. And I went nuke and they could not tell me a single thing. I was in depth for a year before I went to boot camp. I had one chance to talk to a nuke who just happened to stop in and like talk to everybody. But
I'll say that
when I was choosing my rate, even if I would have gone non-nuke, all those other rates, my recruiter couldn't have even told me what they did.
Yeah.
I'll say that the recruiting world has gotten better with that. People will find, like, I know I was really big about it. I know the guys in my office are really big about it. If you get into a rate that nobody knows what that rate does, people will reach back to the fleet and get in contact with fleet guys that know what's going on, right? Like,
yeah, but does that happen after I pick?
Yeah, normally.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, normally.
You are
Hey,
on the
look,
paper.
hey, look, we got to get you on deck, man. We got to get that number on there. We got no. Hey, my buddy used to say, man, I'm like Morpheus. I see ones and zeros, man.
I mean, I know that I get recruiting. I get it, but it's tough to choose your rate, choose your fate is real, but no one is there to tell a new recruit what not to pick because it's shit.
Yeah, and they can't, right? Like they can't
because there won't be any of them anymore. Yeah.
Don't pick CS, you're gonna hate it. They tell that to everybody, then you don't have any CSs.
Yeah, and we talked about this briefly last week, but like the nuke talk at boot camp should go, hey, no one choose EM. If you get assigned EM, I'm sorry, but don't be an electrician. That's how that talk would go if they could really tell you.
Yeah.
All right, Mike.
Take it day to day, evolution to evolution. Don't give up on yourself. And honestly, specifically to myself, I'd for sure remind myself to understand that your situation could be worse. Might feel like you're struggling at the time, but just take it a day at a time. Don't quit. I had a little spat where I was like, dude, this is such bullshit. I want out. I'm done. And I started talking to all the guys that were there with me, and I was like, you know what? I at least have people now. You know, at the time I didn't feel like I had people. I was like, I've got people now. Now I've got to be with them, and I got to make sure I can do my job with them. So just take it a day at a time.
Yeah, this is going to sound more negative than it is, but that's good advice because every time we were on the boat and thought this is the worst it could be, it wasn't.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it wasn't. Yeah.
All right, Jimmy, you're up.
I think, like Mike said, right, like take it at a time. I think the biggest things I would say is it's all about your attitude, right? The mind can make heaven out of hell and hell out of heaven, right? So when you go into things, look for the best in them, right? You signed a contract. There's a reason why you came to the military. Never forget those things. Use them to drive you. Um, the second thing I'll say is you're not the only one experiencing this, right? Like Mike said, you realize you have friends, you have people that are experiencing these things with you, right? And though it sucks, the suck can be better when you're experiencing the suck with other people, right? That's how we get to this podcast, right? Where we experience the suck together, and then eventually, you know what I mean? Like we build lifetime relationships.
Yeah,
And
you can't make a friend like you make on the boat or going through the shit.
no, yeah, these the best friendships.
Yeah.
And then the third thing, qualify like you're staying in, and save like you're getting out, and you never have a problem.
True.
God, that is a very good line.
That's a really good one.
That might be the title of this episode.
How many kids did you get with that one, Jimmy?
Huh? No, that was told to me like because when I was in prototype, I used to talk to all the instructors and whatnot, and I was considered like the cool kid that was qualifying or whatever. And yeah, people. Hey, look, man. People knew me for 6 months. They wanted to be my friend on Facebook. They wanted to be my friend forever. We hang out and shit. You know what I'm saying?
Boy, how the tables turn on that one.
But no, one of the guys, this guy named Jordan, he was like, he told me that he was like, hey, oh no, his name is Jordan. Sorry. But he told me, you qualify like you're staying in, and you save like you're getting out, and you never have an issue. That was literally jewels being handed to me, yo.
Yeah,
Jimmy, you never once told me that. When I was
I didn't, because I ain't do it. I didn't do it.
He didn't follow the advice.
Wait,
Joe,
was Jimmy your C-Dad?
No, but he
okay.
I mean, I might have well been though. I might have well been everybody's C-Dad.
Big old Danny, first of all, never even talked to me until the day I showed up, right? Like, never reached out to me or anything.
That's not on him.
No, he was in a bad place. He was in a bad place.
But even then, we would get people and no one even knew they were coming.
Yeah, for sure. Too much work.
I mean, after I showed up, Jimmy definitely interacted with me more than anybody else.
Right.
Yeah, because I thought you was on meth.
Yeah, so he was your adopted.
You thought I was just beating the urinalysis every week, dog?
Joey, I remember when you used to get
if you
up
got urinalysis every week, that means more people thought you were on meth than just
when you used to get up and go running in the middle of the night, dog, when we were standing together, I was like, yo, what the fuck is he doing, son? And then you come back, he'd be sweating, and I'm like, yo, he been on here on meth? Like, what the fuck is going on?
Oh my god.
It wasn't in the middle of the night. It was like
11 p.m., homie. It would be late as fuck.
I don't remember going out late. I remember going out early, super early. I don't remember going out super late.
Well, I know your ass be coming back, you be sweating. I'm like, damn, he on drugs.
Oh no, because I would go to the gym. I wasn't running. I was going to the gym because there was a 24-hour gym.
I remember
24-hour gym, and they would run 24/7
episodes.
When cops would end, he would go to the gym.
All right, Amber, what we got next?
Yeah, I think it's over to Kenny now.
All right. So last week I pulled together a little bit of research into recruiting. I wish Jimmy could have joined us for that, but he didn't. This week I want to talk about some lines that came down from military brass, if you will, about quality of life, and then some interesting kind of tidbits about that in the Navy. So let me pull these up. This first article is from the Secretary of the Navy. So these are all from August and September of last year. But the Secretary of the Navy, Del Toro, he had his 2-year review. So he had been the Secretary of the Navy for 2 years. And in his memo, he talks about, visiting sailors at bases and shipyards and home ports and, foreign ports. And he says that these highlights describe some of the ways we're making the most of the American people's strategic investment, which is tax dollars. I don't know why he'd put it that way. And the very first point that he says is taking care of our people. He says, taking care of our people first. He says, you, the nearly 1 million sailors, Marines, and civilians who serve in our Department of the Navy, are our most valuable treasure, and indeed the reason why so many allies, partners, and adversaries around the globe recognize us as the most powerful naval force in the world. With the support of our President and the Secretary of Defense, we will continue to prioritize treating you with dignity and respect, and we will make even more investments in your care, welfare, and training, as well as that of your family members who also sacrifice so much. Over the past 2 years, we've made significant investments in basic pay, housing, childcare, education, healthcare, and numerous other benefits. It's absolutely the right thing to do, and we pledge to continue to do so to make you the most combat-ready and well-cared-for military in history. I also recognize the many remaining personnel challenges that we must face together to resolve. So that's his piece on taking care of our people first. And then about a month later, in September of 23, McPon, Honia, I think is how you say his name, laid out his expectations specifically for chief petty officers. And there's a couple of things that were interesting in here. He says every sailor should have a chief petty officer to whom they can go with their problems, concerns, and their celebrations. To better lay out what is expected of all chief petty officers, he sent out a two-letter memo to all chiefs. And these are his priorities, the MCPON's priorities: warfighting competency, personal character development, and quality of life. So now SecNav all the way to MCPON, and the CNO has something similar. I didn't pull it up, but they're emphasizing quality of life, and that A, they've made strides to improve it, and B, that's like their focus. It's one of the three things that both these two talked about. And then also in September of 2023, Pentagon releases suicide recommendations, quote, subject to availability of funding. So this was the response of the Pentagon to the outcome of the George Washington investigation. So I'm sure we'll get into that at some point. I kind of went down a rabbit hole this week, and it made me pretty sad. We mentioned the George Washington last week. It was a carrier and shipyard that had 3 junior sailor suicides in a 1-month period. And as part of the investigation, the Navy hired this suicide prevention panel of experts to generate recommendations to the Navy, and I think the whole Secretary of Defense, about what to do, like in the wake of this happening. And Pentagon's response was, yeah, we'll see if we can afford to take your recommendations. Here's the article starts off by saying the Pentagon will not address improvements to junior enlisted base housing, expanding transportation access for troops, or changing on-base firearm purchase policy as part of its latest suicide prevention plan. Yeah, so it's for all of DoD. And then there's another article or another paragraph in here. So funded recommendations in the first tier, which are like immediate actions, they're existing. So those things, as well as immediate actions, existing initiatives, and cost-neutral recommendations will need to have their plans of action filed by October 31st with implementation by January 31st. So even if those immediate things were going to happen, they weren't going to happen until January of this year, late January of this year. And then the second and third tier items, so less important, less urgent, had to have their plans submitted by the new year and then implemented March 31st of this year. So that's the sense of urgency that they had. Fourth and fifth tiers, March 31st and June 30th. So those may have not even started yet if they got funded. And then it says, however, the majority of the recommendations are considered subject to the availability of funding, according to the memo. Elizabeth Foster, the executive director of the Office of Force Resiliency for the under the Secretary of Defense for Personnel and Readiness, told reporters that she could not yet say what the cost estimate would be and that the estimates will likely come in fiscal year 2025. While the deadlines for funded recommendations would see recommendations implemented next year, the final deadline for all recommendations is the end of 2030. And then there's another key paragraph in here. The DoD elected not to follow 16 recommendations from the Suicide Prevention Committee, including adding air conditioning to all military housing, installing light blocking curtains in military housing, and ensuring adequate transportation between on-base housing and work, according to the memo. So there were 16 different things that this panel of experts that the DoD got together recommended. And the response was, no, we're not going to do that. Anybody have thoughts on that?
I do.
You've upset me greatly.
I think that it's one, the people that fund these things are a bunch of jackasses, right? So we're talking about Congress in that standpoint, right? So the Pentagon really may not know how they're going to get this money, because the physical budget has already been set out, and they've already been authorized to use XYZ for the funding of the military. I think the fact that they're not going to address air conditioning to barracks is insane. What was the second one? I can't remember
Curtains.
What the second one was.
Blackout curtains.
Blackout curtains. The fact that you're not going to give blackout curtains is insane.
I mean, dude,
those are small things.
Exactly. I get the budget's approved for this year.
Yeah.
But how much are curtains? You could buy curtains for everybody for what? Maybe a couple $100,000. That's crazy.
You could get the American people. The American people will donate curtains to you.
True.
Honestly.
I mean, Skillcraft will make those things for 10 cents a piece.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right. I do also understand that, like, the way that military budgets and whatnot work out is like they've already spent that money. That money, when they got it, it was spent. But
we're talking about things that they said we're not doing it. Regardless of funding.
And that's insane. So for those two things, that's insane. The transportation from on-base housing to get on the bike, dog. Like, I'm sorry.
Yeah, so the reason that one came up, I assume, is because one of the main factors that was cited in the George Washington investigation.
Slight correction here. The key finding from the George Washington investigation was that sailors would have to wake up at 4 a.m. in order to make it to the carrier by 7. That included driving to a distant parking lot, waiting for a shuttle, taking the shuttle, and then once they're dropped off by the shuttle, going on a 12-minute walk to get to the actual carrier. One of the former commanding officers said, quote, "We cannot expect sailors to add an additional bus ride over the bridge each way. The bridges and tunnels back up, and a nominal 20-minute drive can become a 2-hour drive. Making sailors do this would crush morale that is okay at this point, but on thin footing." It was also noted that sailors would routinely complain about the parking situation, and the chain of command would attempt to fix the problem with quote-unquote Big Navy, and the perception on board was that Big Navy didn't care about the parking problem, which further lowered morale.
Which, like, I mean, when we were in Portsmouth, what was it, 2 miles? And there was days...
3 miles.
Yeah, so 1.5 miles.
We was walking.
But there were days where it was -7 degrees,
blizzard.
-15 degrees.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I get it. Send a bus.
Nah, for shit like that, definitely send a bus. Absolutely. Like, there's no reason why the duty van can't make runs. You mean to tell me that we're in shipyard, we ain't got nobody doing nothing? Like, we got 7 duty vans on the damn pier. Send that shit up the road and go get these people. Y'all on duty anyway. You ain't doing nothing.
Yeah, but if there's not already a system, the DoD is saying we're not going to put a system in place.
This is important to point out because the George Washington investigation also states that as a result of the systemic parking challenges for aircraft carriers at the shipyard, it was common practice for commands to organize an ad hoc transportation division, which resulted in 130 ship's personnel working out of their assigned rate to drive buses and shuttles transporting sailors. The estimated workload of a transportation division with 130 personnel operating outside their rating equates to 250,000 man-hours per year.
Yeah, no, I think the DoD should leave that up to the fucking command and let the command do that. Because if I'm the skipper of a fucking aircraft carrier, there's no way that you can tell me I can't get 10 govies for my.
Well, I'm sure COs can provide transportation out of their pocket if they want to, or out of their.
No, it's not out of. It's out of the workforce.
Yeah.
Right, but our workforce is not doing anything, right? Our workforce is in the shipyard, where the shipyard owns most of the boat. So you're telling me you don't have 10 people on duty that can drive 10 duty vans back and forth to put people on the pier, right? Like,
well, they might, but they might not.
Here's my 2 cents.
They got it.
So CNO, SecNav, those are all appointed by the president, confirmed by the Senate. So, and the MCPON is appointed by the CNO. So those positions, as much as they are our chain of command at the top, going towards outside of our commands and outside of the Navy, they're politicians, for lack of a better term. They are politicians.
SecNav is a politician, but CNO is a 2-star admiral. MCPON's a master general.
Yes.
The CNO is a 4-star admiral.
Is he 4?
She.
Oh.
You sure about that?
She is a 4-star admiral.
All right.
110%. There's no chance.
Either way, they are obviously going to voice the most positive, light opinions and things that they are going to try and pursue, that they would like to, right? They're not going to, they are for sure as shit not going to go up and be like, yeah, we still don't give a fuck. We're still not going to help these guys out because we're going to get people in no matter what, because people need money. They're not going to say that. But it's all politics. That it's unless, I mean, it was an actual travesty that happened with the George Washington.
Yeah.
I knew a lot of people that came from that ship when I was in charge of my group at the shipyard. It was a really tough time.
Yeah, it was.
And so seeing the guys like that and just knowing that this is the state we're in, and how are we going to get better? Is it going to get better? It's completely gray area to if or when that.
This is one of the things that drove me absolutely insane in the Navy, but on the boat, like at all places I stayed, was, hey, we recognize we have a problem. And we also recognize that we lack the expertise or knowledge or capability to come up with solutions to that problem. So we're going to get a bunch of people that have that expertise and have the capability and have the knowledge, and we are going to let them tell us how to get better. And the boat tried to do this. Commands that I was at tried to do this. Bases tried to do this. And then those panels of people that they picked come up with recommendations of how to fix themselves, and they say, no, thank you. Then why the fuck did you get the panel together?
Yeah, that's true.
It drives me insane. 16 recommendations from a suicide prevention panel to a Navy who just had 3 people kill themselves on one boat in a month. And that Navy said, yeah, we're good. No, you're fucking not good.
Yeah.
I would like to see what those 16 things are, honestly. Right? Because there's certain things that I'm not going to do as a warfighting force. Right? But definitely 2 of those things are not air conditioning and blackout curtains. Those are going to happen, right? I don't care if my wife got to sew them things. We're going to make that happen for sure, right? Because that just doesn't make any sense, right? That's talking about readiness, right? Like that's talking about my sailors' readiness, right? If they can't sleep at night or they can't sleep in the morning when they get off of duty because they don't have blackout curtains, they don't have air conditioning, right? That's not conducive to what I need out of them.
Yeah,
right?
well,
like,
what if they're fucking dead?
Yeah,
that too. But like you got to understand, dog. Like when I started like understanding like a whole lot of it is, and I tell the midshipmen that are with me the same thing, right? Take care of yourself. If you need time to yourself, please tell me. I'll scream to the high horses for you, right? Because at the end of the day, the Navy is a machine, and if you don't make it through, if you commit suicide or you hurt yourself in that process, the Navy's going to keep running. It's going to have a pause, a momentary pause, and then it will fix itself and it will keep going, right?
It doesn't fix itself. It doesn't fix itself. That's what I'm saying.
I'm saying it fixes itself in the motion of the gears. The gears will turn. They will keep cranking. They will
fill
not
your
stop.
spot.
It'll fill your spot, exactly. Right. So in that same thought process, that's what these people think about. They're thinking about the warfighting aspect of it. So if your goal is to have a warfighter, to have a readiness setting, right, and a standard to that, you're not doing that by not providing air conditioning and blackout curtains. Like these simple things that people need to be ready to fight. Right. That right outside of even the suicide and the personal part of it. You're just not doing even the parts that you need to make your thing work.
And they know that if those things didn't exist on like shipboard, it would be a fucking emergency. Like when the refrigeration
Absolutely.
unit goes down, it is an emergency.
Yeah.
It's an emergency not for the people, but for the.
I know it's for the equipment.
For the
Yes.
equipment.
Yeah, I know
right.
it's for the equipment. But if
I learned that the hard way.
if the supply department forgot to bring curtains for our racks underway, people would be fired.
It would be a travesty.
Yeah,
absolutely.
But also, my thing is from a dysfunctional management standpoint of the greater Navy and the military complex that we have in the U.S. As much as we preach this whole from the very top, oh, we really want our people to be taken care of, creature comforts, yeah, we'll give you whatever you need. And then when that comes down the line, the next line of defense that an actual sailor gets is hope to God you have a good chief or a good divo or a good LPO that gives a shit, because that is your cutoff.
Yeah.
That's what
and
I was
that's
going
the
to say.
reality of it.
Yeah, because Jimmy said, like, I'll let you have your time or whatever. Like, you guys don't get that all the time.
Yeah.
You don't get to go ask for help and then you get it.
Yeah, no, I agree.
I mostly agree with Jimmy. I view it like top down. It always comes down to mission, right? Our entire job, we are all the little worker drones that accomplish some giant policy mission.
Look, I'm fine with that. But if you're going to be the MCPON or the Secretary of the fucking Navy and say that my top priority is quality of life, and then say no thank you to a suicide prevention panel, then fuck off. That's not your priority. I don't care about the mission because they don't care about the mission.
Yeah,
that's what they said.
What I'm trying to get at is they're in the in-between position of they have to do what is necessary to get us ready to do the mission, whatever this vague concept of the mission is, right? And which, it's going to be the path of least resistance of, hey, can we get AC installed into decades and decades old barracks? Or are we just going to tell people to fuck off and spend that money on something else?
It's not about money. It's not about money.
Yeah,
that's on the list of things they said, no, we're not going to do it, regardless of funding.
And that's the problem.
Yeah. I think the whole thing is a problem.
Yeah.
You convened a panel to give you recommendations. The fact that you're going to wait 7 months to address the tier 1 problems, what are you doing?
Well, honestly, getting the panel together to address it really seemed more of a PR thing.
100%.
Exactly. Yeah, than it was an actually. We're not looking. But dude, we're not looking for actual ways to help people out. We just need to get this cleared.
We need to clear this.
Well, we had a shipmate attempt suicide, and what did we do? We fucking field dayed.
We did.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we
did. That was a wild situation, dog.
That shit.
What is field day? What is field day?
We every week we have like a 2 to 3 hour period of time where everyone on the boat that's not on watch, and even some of the ones that are on watch, are just cleaning.
Well,
yeah.
It's not cleaning.
We had burgers and ice cream.
It's not cleaning for anyone that's not Navy related. The cleaning. Let's get this straight. The cleaning is not for cleanliness. The cleaning is not for thoroughness. The cleaning is for time.
It's for time.
For time.
It is for time.
When you field dating on my boat, I want to see ass and elbows.
Well, let's take a step back, because it wasn't just field day. We went to the chapel on the other side of base, so we walked our happy asses over there.
Well, we had that made available. It was non-mandatory.
It was non-mandatory.
We did not receive training.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that was like the group event, right? Everybody walked to the chapel, and then we talked with the chaplain or whatever for like an hour or two. And then once that was done, he was like, I'm available if anybody wants to talk. And then our chief of the boat was like, all right, guys, I think we can really develop some like teamwork and like unity by getting down in the villages and doing field day.
Yep. And now Big Navy is saying the same thing. Big Navy is saying the same thing.
Yeah. I also think like I'm not gonna cut anybody no slack, right? Because as a leader, you have to handle these things, right? That's the reason why you're a leader. I won't cut myself any slack, right? Like but the other side of it is, right, like, how do you deal with a mass problem like that as a leader? Especially like in a local sense to the command. or to your division or whatever. That's a very tough aspect to deal with. Um, hey, we had, like, I had a personal situation with Kyle, right? I wanted to go buy a motorcycle from this guy, and he passed away on the same bike that he was coming to bring to me. I don't think I've ever rectified that situation, even personally. It's
Dude,
tough. It's
that
a
his
rough.
yeah. I don't want to get into it. His death
Yeah,
was
I don't.
largely treated as a fucking joke by our command.
Yeah, and yeah,
Terrible,
that's one
terrible.
thing that I to this day, I think that jaded me probably the most out of any single incident
Absolutely.
regarding the Navy. But yeah, no, going back to the when we had that chat in shipyard when we had a sailor attempt suicide. Um, the thing that got me was the same lady that I had gone and talked to with mental health issues that
Yeah,
I
so
had and
this
was
let's
struggling with.
set the story. This lady is a like hired mental health professional, or at least
She is
supposed to be.
a Yes,
You
she is a
talking about
hired
from the squadron, yeah?
from the squadron. Okay.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
I went and spoke with her personally, told her about the problems that I had, and not to, just to cut the story short, my personal mental health issues that I was suffering at the time. She recommended some coloring books, take them underway, do something to kind of take my
Hey,
mind off of
color,
the
color.
problems.
Did
Uh,
you color? Did you color?
yeah, I colored. Yeah, right. So, that's the last thing I needed to do having a mental health crisis was get fucking hazed by coloring books on the goddamn cruise mess.
That's right.
But the same lady that told me, "Hey, I know you're going through a lot of this stuff, and I don't really want you to go into it, but I'm going to tell you what you need to do so you can go back to work." Um, she came out and did the same thing, but not just to me, but basically to the whole crew that, this kind of stuff happens, and you guys will be fine. Just listen to what your command says, and they have your best interests in mind,
Yeah,
right?
right.
And our best interests in mind from a chain of command standpoint is let's
Work.
mismanage the absolute fuck out of a bunch of young adults who are going through a mental health crisis, probably more severe than anything else that they've ever gone through in their lives.
Hmm.
And let's just fuck that up real good and hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that was the
I
gist of that.
get the military industrial complex, and that you sign up to the Navy, you're a warfighter. No
Yep.
ifs, ands, or buts. That's what
Yep.
you are.
Yeah, we don't understand
And
that when we do that, though. We
but
definitely don't
look, no,
understand
that's fine.
that.
Even if you don't, but you do. You sign up to be a warfighter. You take the oath. Everyone takes the same one. You are
Yeah.
there to defend the Constitution. Okay, fine. But if your Secretary of the fucking Navy says that his top priority is quality of life, he's lying. He's lying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you're MCPON, which
I think the
he's a chief.
McPon
So yeah.
probably believes that, right? And there was a whole lot of I don't know if you guys get on the Facebook pages and whatnot, but like
No.
in the Ask the Chief page, there was a whole uprising from the chiefs about him talking about quality of life stuff, right? Because everybody has that mentality of, oh, back in my day, but then we go back in my day into goddamn fucking World War I, bitch, and what we talking about then, right?
Yeah.
Motherfuckers getting
Yeah.
gunned down, bitch. Like, we could back in my day, like, to the end of time, but bro, like, ultimately, you as a chief, as an officer, are charged with the health of the people up under you. I don't give a damn about nothing else other than the people up under me. I will appease my boss. I will go to work for plethoras of hours so that I can make sure that these people are okay, that they can like, there's people that will take advantage of this, obviously. Like, this is not, we're not talking about like the person that's doing that kind of thing, but we're talking about the guy that comes to work every day, he works hard and whatnot, the guy and gal that does that, right? You got to go to bat for these people, man. I think the ultimate thing is, like, we have to also start tearing down some of this hierarchy, right? Where we don't feel like we can go talk to the department head, we don't feel like we can go talk to the skipper and be like, hey, look, this is what my division's going through, this is the problems that I have going on and whatnot, like, to get those addressed, right? So you're hiding this secret until ultimately ends in a suicide. And then you're like, well, I don't know how to deal with it. Like, what the fuck do you mean? Like, you're in charge of the office, are you not?
Well, here's one of the biggest problems at hand, and I've had this discussion ad nauseum with a few of you guys, as Kenny especially, where you have very skilled sailors that are very good managers of their divisions, leaders of their teams, that upper military management will completely jade and screw over to do whatever it is they need to do to get to the point that they need to, and force those people out of the Navy.
Yes.
And so the management that retains in the Navy is more or less the folks that skated their way through, for lack of a better term, just breezed by and got put in a management position, not because of what they were capable of, but because of hierarchy.
Yeah, there are exceptions to the rule, but I think by and
Yes.
large, the best and brightest, especially in the nuclear community, are pushed out.
Yes.
Because it's not cool to be the best and brightest in that setting.
The best and brightest in that setting is the hardest worked.
Yeah, you need to go along and get along and do the bare minimum, and then you are going to be a chief. And again, there's exceptions. I know plenty of good non-chiefs that became chiefs. But yeah, by and large, they get out. So with that, let's take a break. We'll come back and we'll play a couple of games, and then we'll call it.
Hell yeah.
All right.
Sean.
We're back. We're going to play a couple of classic mid-watch nuke games. We're going to do 50-50-90. Amber's going to give us 5 50-50 questions. If we're better than average nukes, we will get more than 90% of – sorry, we'll get less than 90% of them wrong. And then she'll present us with a hypothetical situation. We'll all say our answers, and she's going to pick the best or most likely or funniest, whatever.
Say this again for a dummy like me. If I am a good nuke, I will get 10% or more, correct?
That's right.
Okay.
But if you're the worst of the bunch, we also want to find out who's the worst of the bunch, which on episode 1 was Joe by a landslide.
Yeah, but the one before that, I fucking murdered it. So
Yeah.
anytime I do good, we're just not going to post the video.
There's potential for that. I will cut an episode if you win this game.
Yeah, I'll just tank.
All right. Okay, Amber, go ahead. Take it away.
All right, we're going to go Kenny, Joe, Dakota, Mike, Jimmy. Okay?
Okay.
I don't love it.
I know. All right, the first move in chess, is it black or white?
White.
The first move?
Correct.
White.
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 Yeah, you got it.
Yeah, white people always do that shit.
Asserting their power even now.
I mean, this is a conversation for another time, dog.
But don't worry.
You see how she put me at the end, right?
Listen, my OCD brain can't do it differently.
Yeah, Kenny went last time, so now he's got to go first. He can't always.
I started first last time.
Yeah, he was crying about it last time, so now we're punishing him.
Okay, maybe
Thank you. As long as it's captured accurately, you can describe it however you want.
Stop sticking up for white people.
All right.
Jimmy, this is
all right.
another time.
All right, stalagmites. Are they the ones that go up or down?
Up.
Up.
They go up from the floor.
Up.
Also up.
That's correct.
Let's go.
These ones might all be too easy.
Yeah, they're copying me. That's all it's happening.
But you got to hold tight when you're floating a
Should we start with Jimmy now?
No.
See if everybody changes there. Okay, which U.S. state entered the Union as the 50th state, Alaska or Hawaii?
Hawaii.
Hawaii.
Yeah, Hawaii.
110%.
Yep, that's correct.
Okay, good. I was very unconfident about that.
I wasn't.
All right, Theodore or Franklin Roosevelt, who served first?
Franklin.
Teddy.
Theodore, for sure. Kenny, you're dumb.
Yeah, Bull Moose. Teddy.
Yeah.
I meant Theodore Franklin Roosevelt.
Oh, okay.
Jimmy?
Theodore did, because I remember him with the little spectacle thing on.
Yeah, you were alive then, huh?
Nah, just the pictures. Just the
Theodore.
pictures, man.
Yeah, that's right, Theodore.
Shit.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure
Mini
he doesn't even
Franklin
have a
was
middle name.
president like
Give me
following
a
the Great Depression.
give me a mid 2000s New York Jets question.
Wait.
Let's even the playing.
Wait, hold on.
I bet I know
Say
it.
that again? Dakota, say that again?
I said Franklin Roosevelt was president following the Great Depression. New Deal, 40s.
Yes.
30.
Yeah, Theodore he rowed a submarine in 1905 and gave us sub pay.
Oh,
33.
that's true.
He was elected in 33.
Yeah.
Oh, damn. Joe has presidents on lock.
And then he served for 16 years.
Yeah, he
No,
did.
he served
Okay,
for-
moving on.
All right, too many facts.
Which one happened first, the Battle of Gettysburg or the French Revolution?
Which French Revolution? Am I right?
Oh shit.
Am I right?
French Revolution versus who is my question.
The American one?
That was Civil War, so French Revolution.
French Revolution.
Yeah.
What the question is, which happened first?
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm gonna just go out on a limb and say Gettysburg.
French Revolution, 1790s.
Yeah, the French Revolution, because then followed that was what, the French American War in 1812? Something like that.
Well, we got
Oh, say can.
Yeah, it was the French Revolution.
Let's go. I tied for last. I'll take it.
Okay, who wants to go first on the hypothetical situation? We'll do it that way.
Go reverse.
I will.
Just flip it.
All right,
Okay.
Jimmy goes first.
Okay.
Hey, look, the
Everybody
black man
wants
get to
to go
go first. Ah, yeah.
Okay, you get to live in a comedy sitcom of your choice, and you get to be a character for a week. Who is it? What sitcom is it, and why?
A character that already is in the show?
Yeah.
Okay.
A comedy. I'll do Seinfeld. I'm a big Seinfeld guy. I'll be Kramer.
I knew you were going to say that.
And you know why?
No, I don't.
I'm just gonna
Explain
keep
it
saying
to
the N word, dog.
Man, you should go be Screech on Saved by the Bell then.
Did he get in trouble for the same thing?
Yeah.
God damn it,
Oh.
Screech. Yeah, no.
He wasn't as funny as Kramer. Like,
No, but seriously, I think it would be a comedy sitcom. I think I would do Big Bang Theory, but I don't really know the characters other than the main guy. I think I would be the main guy on Big Bang Theory. I love that show. It's funny as fuck.
So you're changing your answer?
Yeah, the Seinfeld one was just a joke. It was a joke.
Okay. All right, Mikey.
We've been on a big Always Sunny kick. I would love to live my life as Charlie just for the sheer wild cardness
Cat
of
food.
it. Yeah, cat food,
Cat
wild
food.
card, grilled Charlies,
Is he
all that
is
jazz.
he the one that had the bicycle with the
No, that's Mac.
That's Mac.
Oh yeah, he a wild boy.
Thanks for stealing my answer.
I think living as Charlie would be a nice change of pace.
Sure would.
Oh no, we lost the
Bye,
Just in
Dakota.
time. He didn't want to answer this question.
Oh, he's gone.
Oh, yeah.
All
Are we
right, let's
gone
go
now?
to-
Okay.
let's go to Joe.
Yeah, I want to be Mac from It's Always Sunny.
Oh,
even with the bicycle situation, huh?
Are you coming out? Joe's coming out.
Joe's coming.
No, I just think he's the funniest one of the group. Like, dude, he's so ridiculous and over the top. I love it.
You would get to get shredded. That'd be cool.
That'd
Yeah.
be sick.
I
You
can
get
get
fat though.
gain and lose
Super
60
fat.
pounds in a matter of 3 months.
I would literally die, but it would be funny. That like 60 pounds, that's almost 50% of my body weight right now.
Oh my God.
Almost, not quite, almost.
All right, Dakota.
Dead air. Am I still in the video call?
You are. Yeah, you're back.
Yeah.
You're back.
Okay, because I dropped out there for a second.
Yeah, I skipped you.
We got Jimmy's rice.
Oh, you did? Who was yours?
Yes.
Mac from Story Sunny.
Oh, okay. Well,
Oh no.
Kramer from Seinfeld, because the dude
Why?
is unemployed and he just eats all of Jerry's food, and I mean, he seems like he's really happy. And then Jimmy said that, and then I was like, well, maybe Charlie from Always Sunny, and then fucking Mike said that one too. So now I got to come up with my third choice. Can I pick Barney from How I Met Your Mom?
Sure can.
But before I was married with kids.
There you go.
Yeah, that's fair. I'll allow it.
I would pick Phil Dunphy from Modern Family because he's like the goal. He's like the best dad,
top
the best
dad.
husband. Yeah. So that's who I would pick, no doubt.
That's a good pick.
That's such a vanilla answer.
I was
You're
gonna
vanilla.
go with somebody from Martin, but then I realized that like I'm in a group full of white people.
Be a chocolate answer.
And it was gonna be a chocolate answer. And then
Yeah,
Mike
Martin-
would have been up.
Martin is the show. My entire Sea Tour, Martin is the show that played on Cruise Mess most often.
Really?
Like every morning.
That's what's
someone
up.
had it on.
That's
Yeah.
what's up. I love Martin, dude. That dude.
I thought Jimmy was going to say Red from Sanford and Son.
I fucking love that motherfucker too, dog. He is funny as fuck.
Fine, can I change my answer to be Black Dynamite from the animated Black Dynamite show?
All right.
All right. See,
All right, all the choices are in.
Okay.
I think I have
pick.
to pick a favorite or something.
Right.
What?
I think I would most relate to
What is
Mikey's answer.
It's such a wild
Charlie?
change of pace.
Yeah.
You just want to be.
We did name a dog that we had after that character, so no surprise there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you just want to be a complete degenerate.
We had Charlie work for 6 years.
Yeah.
Well, it's more. It's not degenerate. It's more blissfully ignorant.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Until he gets smart all of a sudden. But not actually.
All right. I want to close the episode with one of my most shared sea stories from my time as reactor operator.
Once upon a time.
And one time at band camp,
what happens?
Get ready.
Petty officer, will you tell me a sea story?
Let's set the stage. We are doing ORS following sea trials after we pulled out of shipyard.
What is ORS?
ORS is the Operational Reactor Safeguards exam. So every platform in the Navy, every command that is nuclear powered, undergoes periodic inspections by an ORS board. So a team comes on board, they run you through drills, they give you level of knowledge exams, they give you interviews, and you have to get at least a satisfactory on ORS in order to be able to continue operating your nuclear reactor.
So it's intensive and intense.
Yeah, it sucks. It's the worst time. But worse than ORS is when you work up for ORS and you do drills all the time and you clean all the time and you do studying and tests all the time. So everyone's like on edge and it's game day, like we were talking about earlier. So we're doing ORS. We had just come through sea trials, and I was reactor operator for the A squad where they were going to run all the drills. And the drill that we ran first was, I'm trying to remember. I think it was loss of a turbine. I think we lost a turbine generator. Whatever the drill was for ORS put us in rig for reduced electrical. And what that means is we turned off all of the non-essential electrical loads on the boat. So air conditioning went away, the coffee machine went away, everything that's non-essential to keep the machinery safe gets turned off when you rig for reduced electrical, because we had less capability in this drill of outputting electrical power. So the boat is rigged for reduced electrical. The drill goes fine. and then we are like securing from the drill. So we're putting all the drill props away. We're restoring the electric plant. And one of the things that you turn off for rigs for reduced electrical is vent heaters. And so vent heaters just make the air that comes out of the ventilation ducts warm. And so the electrician on watch in the engine room turned back on the vent heaters. And one of the vent heaters he turned back on was the one that went into maneuvering. And so in maneuvering, it's me, the electrical operator, and the throttleman, the engineering officer watch. That's the normal watch team. And then our engineer is in maneuvering for the drill set. And the senior ORS board member is standing next to the engineer. So it's cramped, and there's a bunch of important people in there, and no funny business. But we knew that when the vent heater for maneuvering gets turned back on, there was something on that heater that would make it smoke. And so then smoke would come out of the vent ducts in maneuvering, and we would just let it go away because it would eventually burn off and no big deal. So we're on watch, just restoring from a drill, calming down, and then all of a sudden smoke just starts coming in. And it is denser than usual, and there's very important people in maneuvering. But the engineer knew this was happening also. And so smoke's coming in, and we are all just sitting there like it's not happening. We're just going to ignore this problem and pretend that maneuvering is not filling with smoke as we're sitting there. And so about probably 2 minutes goes by, and it feels like 45 minutes go by. And the senior ORS board member clears his throat, and he goes, how long are we all going to pretend that maneuvering is not filling up with smoke right now? And our engineer took a big, deep breath and then grabbed the announcing circuit and goes, emergency report, fire, fire in the engine room, fire in maneuvering. And so we all grab our emergency breathing apparatuses and strap them on, and within about 30 seconds, either door of maneuvering is swung open, and there are 2 pressurized fire hoses ready to actually spray us with water for a non-emergency during ORS. Yeah. So that's one of my favorites. Especially having then gone and taught submarine firefighting. I shared that story a whole bunch about how we treat smoke like fire, and here's a good example of what, when, and why.
Fantastic.
All right. Any closing statements before we call it an episode?
No, I think we covered a lot of good ground.
Cool. Oh, I can't hear Jimmy now.
Thank God.
Yeah. Jimmy, your headset's not on.
All right.
Well, he has nothing to say.
All right.
He has nothing to say.
All right, we'll see you guys next week.
Bye.
See you guys.
Dive. Code red in 4 compartment middle level.
Torpedoes in the water!
No, I never have thought I was smart. I thought the people I dealt with were dumb, including you.